It's there. It's there? Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are so glad to have Dr. Shodike here with us today from Tuskegee. We have we've been in transit for a few minutes, so we're getting a little bit of late start, but nonetheless, the information will be very interesting, and we will continue the discussion at the Bioethics Forum up in Medical Towers just after this. So from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock today, we're going to be having a forum surrounding this topic if you'd like to join us. If you are so moved by the discussion this morning and want to come for more, we will be up there. But again, I will turn it over to Dr. Shodike. We appreciate you being here so much and looking forward to today.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ramey. I don't know what I would have done without her. I couldn't even get here this morning until she showed up. Voila, I'm here. She's here. Okay. It's really a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you. I'm really humbled by that opportunity. I like to speak to an interdisciplinary group because the nature of bioethics is such that it is, first of all, conceptually interdisciplinary. Methodologically, it is multidisciplinary. And actually, in practice, it is transdisciplinary. Okay, so I thought we needed to orientate you before we fasten our seatbelts and prepare for takeoff. And in case we encounter some turbulence, oxygen levels may drop, and you need to actually grab that. Use it on yourself before you try to have some close to you. That was supposed to be a joke. Right? All right, very well. I am a bioethicist. I'm also a professor of allied health sciences. Been at Tuskegee for more than 25 years. I've served in various capacity in the university as Associate Dean for Allied Health and Associate Director for the National Center for Bioethics, and twice as the Interim Director of that center. So a new person is there now as Director. But I've continued to practice bioethics for the last 17 years. Over those years, I've had the privilege of working with several different programs and projects within UAB. One of which is going to be a follow-up to this CCTS. The bioethics portion of CCTS, and so we want to explore an idea that will be of interest to you, and that's why I want you to listen very carefully. There is a link that I'm hoping will work when I get there. I want you to observe what that illustration is, to capture or put into context the reason for which I'm having this conversation with you. All right. These things are very different each time, so I don't know how do I make this go. Oh, okay. Well, in case you are interested, I have 3 slides that contain all the references that I used to prepare this talk. I didn't make anything up. I got it. Okay, so 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. All right. So the objectives for the dialogue then, and I say it's a dialogue because, give and take, back and forth, is to engage you in a reflection of sorts on the nature of the idea of bioethics and the scope of it. Right? You stimulate that reflection on the concerns of bioethics and its practice. And then to illustrate the significance of bioethics in medical research using a documentary that I just told you about. It's a case study documentary, and to facilitate your discussion and analysis of the bioethical issues that you may observe in that particular case and see how we might suggest a resolution of a few of those issues there, right? And then we will have some take-home lessons for you, something that you might continue to think about as you proceed in your. So here's objective one. Let me just say, needless to say that I have more to say than perhaps time will allow, right? So in some, I think we're supposed to leave here by 30. So we'll see where we are at that time. So I might fast forward on some of the slides. Some of the slides I might delay a little bit on it so that we can have some conversation. All right, so when you think about, okay, so this thing is doing something differently than I want to do. So, okay, so this is how to go back. When you think about the idea of bioethics, what comes to your mind? I already revealed an answer, my answer, okay, but for you, what comes to mind?
Shades of gray.
Shades of gray, okay. Nothing is completely white, that's okay. Completely black, there are 50 shades of gray. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Any other insight? So, okay, silence. That means you are thinking. And thinking is hard, but we must do it. Sometimes we need more time than we are even want to admit to think. Right? You've never given it a thought. Oh, bioethics, okay. Yeah, one of those weird concepts, right? Turns out that bioethics is a loaded word. You will see that in just a minute. So every time I think about it, and I've been doing the thinking for the last 17 years, right? And I'm still not there yet. That means I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm a student, believe me or not, just like you are. Okay, so we're going to learn through this together. All right, so when I think about bioethics, because it's a loaded word, this is what comes to mind for me. An onion that has so many several layers, right? And it will take a lot of patience, just as I indicated to you. You know, I've been doing this for 17 years, and I'm still doing it, and I'm not there yet. You'll have to have tremendous amount of patience to peel that last layer of the onion. Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're together there, right? So what I'm going to do is just help us peel the first 3 layers, and then say, what does that look like? These first 3 layers. Okay. So it turns out that you can think about bioethics etymologically, philosophically, and operationally. Etymologically, if you look at the word itself, it looks to you like a compound word, right? It's got 2 words in it, bio and ethics. So the first 3 letters, bio, actually comes from the Latin word bios, where we get our English word life. See? All right? And the other part of the ethics, you've had it thrown around everywhere, right? So what is it? Talk to me. This is a dialogue now. What in your mind is ethics?
Right.
Okay, those are the things that come to mind, right? Right or wrong, yeah? So, right or wrong? Really? Say a little bit more about that.
kind of a moral, I guess, kind of beliefs, yes or no.
Okay. Good. You know, I mean, many students talked with groups like this over the years. These are the kinds of words that, that come up when I raise that particular question. So, moral, everybody needs a moral compass, right? Everybody needs to know what's right and what's wrong. Why? So that we can always do right. Say yes. All right. So, but whether you're talking about moral compass or right or wrong, you're actually talking about the way people do what they do. Some sort of conduct, some sort of way of behaving. So those words that we just threw out, we have to contextualize them, right? So they're not just sort of out there, right? So if we put all these together, I suggest that you consider that bioethics, etymologically speaking, is the rightness or wrongness of actions for life activities. You see? What we have just done is we have all deconstructed and then reconstructed the idea of bioethics. The rightness or wrongness of actions for life activities. Right? One word that seems to stand out there is life, isn't it? So, the second layer that I would like to peel then is the philosophical insight into the word bioethics. And in 2003, some experts, interdisciplinary experts in law, religion, science, economics, sociology, they all got pulled together by the National Commission for Bioethics. That was in 2003, and decided that we have to discover, at least philosophically, what this thing is about. Okay? So they all together, powerful, insightful people in the room, came up with a definition. A definition that is, again, interdisciplinary in their orientation. And I said, okay, here's our definition. Philosophically speaking, bioethics is ethics in the service of the bios. Bioethics is not just any kind of ethics, because there are various kinds of ethics, This one that we are talking about is the kind of ethics that you do or practice. Not just anyway or anyhow, but in the service. The type of ethics that serves life. And they said, by the way, when you say life, we actually mean not just any life. We mean all life. Plant, animal, humans. And so far as humans are concerned, they say, it is life that is lived fully, not just physiologically, but culturally, politically, economically, and yes, spiritually. Because all those are domains of life. Would you agree? And if you are going to practice bioethics, they said, You have to attend to all of those lives. I was in a conference call yesterday at NIH and I just trying to do something. Maybe you fight about it or not. They want to do a research that includes all of us in terms of genetics and genomics. And the idea that everybody has to be included, because that increases the diversity, right? Want everybody represented. So diversity and inclusion are the bedrock principles of this all of us research program. So everybody is busy working like Dickens and Dicknesses in order to put all the infrastructure in place. It is a huge endeavor. And I'm serving on two committees of the so many different committees and task forces on there. The one I'm serving on is the Committee on Access, Privacy, and Security of Data. Because people are supposed to release their data to this huge enterprise to make it available for researchers like you, who in future will go there. Of course, controlled access. Huh? Yeah? Okay? That will be an enormous resource that will help us, could help us change the way we are practicing medicine in this country and in the whole world. So everybody is busy really discussing, very engaging discussions. And there is the question, have we thought about group harm? You say, group harm? What is that? We don't want to go running into that rat hole, you know. That was the defense that I got. If you can just stay with the individual, you know, when we resolve that, maybe we can worry about it. So that's not, is that within the scope of our charge? So I got to push back. Why? Because I was saying that if you're going to think about the individual, think about the community from which that individual came. Particularly if these are communities that have been historically marginalized, right? They are used to getting ignored anyway. Well, how do you connect with such people? By letting them know that you want to listen to what it is that causes harm for them. And how you are going to, whatever you set up, how you are going to make sure, at least, make a good faith effort. So, I had to put my being a witness cap on and let them know. You know, the community from which I come, we're used to being ignored. But I believe I'm put on the community for a purpose. And I'm saying to you, telling my people that, oh yeah, group harm. Right, we don't want to go there now because that would be running through the rat hole and all that sort of thing. That's not going to sit very well with my people. I said, I believe that there are enough smart people in this community, and perhaps in several others, that can at least have a conversation about it. In collective wisdom, you know, we can figure out something so that those of us in the trenches, because they're depending on me to interest folks that look like me, you know, in this thing, that they want to do. And I've got to be able to say, why should we? Because I'm going to hear it, you see. And I want to be able to have an answer, even if it's not more than, oh yeah, Dad, we thought about it. You know, how do you feel about that? What is it that we must put in place? And sure enough, one person said, okay, what would you like for us to do then? That's after I was sensing the frustration and he said, look, when I raised the question, it wasn't because I have silver buckled bullets, to answer these questions. I raised the question so that we can reflect on it. We dare not just brush that aside. Because you know why? We have been doing that for ages. And now I'm saying, no more. And they don't know how to deal with that. Needless to say, I suggested to them that, okay, this is only one committee where I have raised this issue. You'll be interested to see whether or not all the other committees, right, I've actually thought of or are even thinking about this issue. So the director of policy analysis decided to take that concern to the steering committee, where they will get the feedback from whether or not they are thinking about it, or what is it that they are thinking about, if they are thinking about it. I tell you, that took moral courage to do. Because yours truly is the numero uno in these groups most of the time. That is to say, you can count how many bioethicists in the whole country on your fingertips, and you may still have some fingers left. Okay, so that's how I say advantageous it is for you all to consider that. Operationally speaking, see, we can't stop at philosophical. We have to go one step further, because I bet you're still scratching your head. What the heck do I need to do with this language jungle? Okay, yeah, philosophically, etymologically, but you're asking me, what do I do with that stuff, right? Because you need some action items based on what you understand now. Yes? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, operationally speaking, then, bioethics is the critical examination of the moral dimensions of life activities. Critical examination to the words, important words, doing what? Yeah? Action verbs. Critical examination of the moral dimensions of life activities. Okay? So I saw a dimension in the CAPS committee, Committee on Access, Privacy and Security of Data, that they didn't see. See, their life experiences didn't even bring them to see that. It's a non-issue, right? But if you are going to critically examine what you are trying to do, that's another thing about bioethics. I don't speak until I have a fair understanding of what people are trying to do. Make sense? Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm always the last one to speak. Yeah, because I want to have a sense of what is it that they are trying to do. Have I subjected that to a deeper ethical reflection, and from my thoughts, what is it that I can get them to consider? Excuse me? Did you hear how I stated that? To consider. Because you can't force anybody to do anything, right? All of these people are outstanding scientists, data people, philosophers, lawyers, and all of that. See? So at least if you can get them to consider this, you never know. And if I don't say it, who the heck is going to say it? You know? And even if it's not now, when am I going to do that? Life is short, you know. Right? So you better live every day as if it were the last for you. You see? So far as I'm concerned, today is the best day of my life. See? Because I have this opportunity to interact with you. I mean, Dr. Rebe, what are the chances that I could convene such an interdisciplinary group on my own and try to have a conversation? Zero. Nada. See? It's the best day of my life. Okay. Yes. So, using bioethics lens then enables us to do what? To query actions. Look at the actions, what people are trying to do, right? And to encourage the scrutiny of that action. That's why I listen very carefully and I pay attention. Two different things. You can listen, but sometimes you are not paying attention. And if you are listening and not paying attention, chances are you're going to lose or miss something. Is that not true? Yeah. Listen and pay attention. That way you can scrutinize what it is that people are trying to do. And then you can be in a position to sense any ethical chasm, big hole, warn people ahead of time. Look, we need to think about this. We need to consider this, you know. Why would you be able to do that? Because of your expertise, because you've been listening, because you've been paying attention. I said your expertise because you have been trained now to subject things to ethical analysis. What's good about what we're trying to do? What's not so good about it? How can we avoid the evil that anyway always go along with good? Okay? Because that's the way we will be able to develop bioethical maturity that is needed to inform appropriate policy and law. You see, all of these committees are supposed to be developing SOPs, standard operating procedures, which means filled with recommendations, guidelines, policies. Or how do you get into it? How do you, what must you pay attention to? How we protect all those things. Huge endeavor, you see? And we have only barely scratched the surface. This thing is supposed to be a longitudinal research program going on for 10 years. So this is not a mean task. So we are just at the beginning stages of a very long journey. All right, so what better time to raise up certain issues to consider, at least. Okay, so that's the meaning that we just got through there. The scope, as you are beginning to suspect, can actually go very private matters, you see. Individual dilemmas to some very public and societal issues, right? Because none of us is alone. We just think we're alone, rugged individualism of the American culture, right? I want to be my own man. No, you can't be your own man. You have shoulders of others to stand on, and you are connected. And I'm standing here. I am not only representing myself. I confess to you, I am also representing my family. I'm also representing my community, and I'm also representing you, because you are just as human as I am. See? So I, like Immanuel Kant, would like to treat humanity, whether in myself or in others, including you, as if we're all ends and never as means. Okay? We're ends in itself, never as means. Okay, so human nature and behavior, habitat for humanity, animal life, the life sciences, behavioral sciences, population, environmental sciences, respect for culture, values, and diverse perspectives. Are you beginning to get the drift? So yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're together there, because I like to check on this, from time to time. So this is to suggest to you that bioethics, at least in my mind, practicing it involves addressing ethical, social, religious, and legal issues arising from medicine, research, public health, environmental health, you name it. So bioethics sort of serves as the umbrella, if you will. An umbrella type of discipline that sort of suggests to you, in all of these endeavors, there are good ways to do things, and there are bad ways to do it. You need to be able to see that coming. And you won't, unless you prefer to think outside the box. Because we're all boxed in one way or the other. Right? So if you want to feel like others will feel, you have to think outside the box. And that's risky and dangerous, isn't it? Yes? Okay. Oh, that's the second objective. We went through the first one rather quickly. Let me just stop here to ask questions. Questions? Comments? You still with me?
Yes.
All right, very well. Okay, I can see you are alert and awake and listening and paying attention. All right, so we gotta go. Here are some of the concerns. Okay, as I told you, highly individual, personal, communal, political. One asks the question, what kind of a person ought I, are we to be? Okay? Kind of a person ought I to be? As I told you, I'm the kind of person that would treat humanity, whether in myself. So if I love myself, by logical analysis, I have to love you. You see? For the same reason I love myself. If I say to you, for example, God created me in His image, and He created me in such a way that I am a masterpiece. I can transfer that. I can relate to you based on that. And I say, you, everyone in this room, is a masterpiece created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God Himself has actually set you aside for before you ever knew it. See? Before I knew it, God knew that I'll be doing this. Isn't that interesting? He will make arrangements in such a way as to position me in this place at this time to do this. For good reason, right? Because I've been created to do good works. So are you. I want to sincerely encourage you to plan to do good works always. Right? All right. So that's ethics of virtue. It means that there are some certain characteristics, that I must project, that I must display. And if anyone were to look at me and say, there goes a virtuous person. You see, so character does matter. What comes out of my mouth, or what I tweet, or write in an email, the way I write it, it all matters. It all matters. Some people don't even think about how toxic those few words that they tweet or write in an email, they don't think about it until they have hit what? Send. And then when they have hit send, like a feather that escapes from a feathery pillow, it's difficult to recapture or reclaim those words, but they have already gone out. So, 2 years ago, I told myself, when I write an email and I think I'm ready to send it, I'll go back and read it again. Many times. I have caught myself saying, I don't want to say that. That's not what I intended to say. You see, my state suddenly has changed without my knowing. Because I'm considering the person that's going to receive that email. How would that person feel if they receive this sort of email from me? Will it be damaging? Will it be edifying? Will I be putting unnecessary blame on them? Is it derogatory? Is it congratulatory? What? Words are powerful. You see? Once you let them loose, they are difficult to catch. And what's funny? When people let them out there, they still want to disown them. No, that's not what I said. It's only the media that misinterpreted. No, that's not what he meant to say. This is what he meant to say. No. It's been written. It's out there. All over the world. People will read it. And they will get the same impression. So no matter what you try to defend somebody else's whatever, it is written. It's in the annals of history, you see. So I encourage you to check yourself also. What are the duties and obligations that I have towards other individuals? You see? What is it that I am obliged to do? What sort of, all of us have rights, right? Okay? Sometimes your rights to swing your arms stops where my nose begins. Hello? You better stop, because if you hit my nose, that's an assault. And I can sue you for that. Although you are exercising what? Your rights. When I say that right stops where my nose begins. So what is it that I'm willing to let go, right? I can drive my car. It's my car. And I can say, I don't want to stop at the stoplight. My, oh my. Can you imagine what chaos it would be like if we all decide, okay, we don't want to stop at the stop sign anymore. You get to the stop sign, just ignore it. When you get speed limit is 35 or 45, we're going to go 60. What are we looking for? Yeah, we want to claim our rights, right? Freedom. Right? we're free society, liberal society, but at the same time, what is it that I'm willing to let go, even my rights, so that others' lives might be preserved? See? You get the message? Yes? Okay. Deontological ethics. And then, of course, what do I owe to the common good? I sort of walked us into that. There are some things that we must do for the good of others. Okay, so here are some concerns. Health and well-being of all people. All people. You know, Mexicans, Italians, Americans, Japan, Chinese. If they show up here or wherever they are in the world, they are still people, right? They may be poor sometimes, but they are not stupid. You see? And the fact that they are poor or less able, we say disable, less able. Okay? Does not reduce their humanity. Okay? So, how many of you know about Hawkins? You know Hawkins? Huh? He just passed, right?
Yeah.
Diagnosed with ASL at the age of 21. Outstanding physicist. You see, couldn't even use his arms or legs. Yes. So the way we would look at it, he's not as able as we are, but then in a different way, he was more able than any of us were. That man dealt with complex mathematics in his head and says it out even through the help of computers, you know. This is outstanding, you know. So his humanity has not decreased. Okay, so let me fast forward because our time is really okay. Bad science, we don't want bad science, right? Good health, enrollment in research without being properly informed. We are concerned about that. Inappropriate use of research study design, coercion of research subjects. Keep these all in mind when you watch these. I think 13 minutes. Disproportionate representation. There is more here, and I'm not going to go through all of that. Okay, so in using the ethical theories and principles, teaching and learning bioethics involves partly logical analysis. Okay, we're going to do some logical analysis here. It involves leaps of imagination. How do you want a world that is better than we have now? If you can't even imagine it. See, you have to be able to imagine that something better can be done before, because it is that thought, that imagination that propels you into action. You see, I foresee a world in which we will deal with less and less group. Some people in the group could not see it, as something possible. I mean, it was even described as, oh my goodness, if you go down that road, that will be, running down a rat hole. You'll never catch that rat. That was the way it was characterized. And I said, oh my goodness. They didn't get it. You see? And we wanted to stimulate their imagination. Partly storytelling and narrative threading. Do you know what I've been doing so far? Hello? What have I been doing so far? I've been telling stories, right? And some of you are getting it because stories have power. Narratives have power. especially if they resonate with you. And even if they don't resonate with you now, maybe a few minutes after you get out of this, say, gee, that man must be right, Why did I think about that? Yeah, that's a great thing to think about. See? Okay. Hardly reflecting. See? I'm suggesting that you think about these things. Hardly remembering. I just said, who remember Hawkins? Just remembering. Lots to remember. Deliberating. You get to do that. Because you can talk and talk and talk, and we can share perspectives and all that. But at the end of the day, what's the question at the end of the day? What are we going to do? Okay? I have to make a decision. Otherwise, it's just talk. And sometimes talk is cheap, right? You know what they say. So, because you're deciding that's where the rubber meets the road. At Tuskegee University, they said, so we believe that we live in a fragile life world that has all the life forms in them. So the fact that the oysters are dying somewhere causes some concern, right? Because you will never think about the reason oysters are dying is because of the air pollution from our cars. And we put out a lot of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide that dissolves in water, that then forms carbonic acid, that then decreases the pH of the water where the oysters live, and that softens their shell, their only protective mechanism, and they die. And you and I, if you love oysters, you got to pay some more for it, right? But you are not fixing the problem. Well, I won't go as far as that, because I drive a hybrid, you see. That's part of the reason. We use less air pollution, use less gas too, economical. All right, so we believe that these systems around us, scientific, technological, social, cultural, economical, legal, religious, political, philosophical, these are all systems that in domains of life, that if we are going to do, that's why I love talking to interdisciplinary groups, because there has to be a way to integrate such powerful insights that will come from these domains of knowledge and life. And the one thing that can help us do that is integrated bioethics. I sent 2 papers down ahead of time. I don't know whether you read it or not. One speaks about interdisciplinarity of bioethics, and the other one was a paper published in 2012, where all of these things that I'm sharing with you are clearly laid out there in context with the U54 Cancer Partnership that Tuskegee has with Morehouse School of Medicine and UAB. Okay, so I thought that would be of interest to you. So I won't say too much about that. Well, anytime we approach bioethical issues, what we do is we try to find out what are the facts of the case, who are the stakeholders, what are their interests regarding the issue, what is it that we can possibly do to make a difference, what are the consequences of trying to take any action. Sometimes some people say, perhaps we need to do nothing and just allow nature to take its course, right? But we have to convince ourselves that that is a possible action to take. If we do say it is not permissible to do nothing, then we have to do something. And of course, every action, every option has consequences. We have to need to explore those consequences. also. So we have to figure out the best thing to do. All right, the significance I wanted to illustrate with this, I think it's 10 minutes or so. I'm hoping that it will come up. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Is there time for a quick question?
Hold on. I don't have a sound yet, so let me just stop it. Question.
So the quick question, I think I'm really intrigued by the suggestion on the previous slide, that third bullet about inaction. I don't feel like that gets discussed enough, that by not stopping and considering what we're doing in the context of an ethical or bioethical frame, we're really doing a disservice, because by not doing something, we're doing something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one aspect that, at least in my experiences, isn't emphasized enough or discussed enough. And I'm wondering if you have any insights into why that is.
Well, not doing anything is actually a choice too.
It's doing something.
Yeah, right? It's doing something. What is the something that you're doing? Nothing. See? Actually, one of the discussants came around that said, well, the reason I suggested that maybe we should just put this in the back burner is because some people are going to ask us, what are you going to do about it? And the person is scared to death. So immediately, the knee-jerk reaction of that person was to do nothing. Yeah, but you've already made a choice. If you decide to do nothing, what is it? Nothing. Okay, yeah, so those are my thoughts about that. Okay.
Would you like for me to try to play it?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
We've got about 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes. Maybe that's what I do.
Till you want it?
Yeah. Yeah, 15. Nope. Okay. Nope. Okay. I have already warned you that I have more to say than we'll have time to, to do it. But the conversation continues. There you have it. That's an illustration of how significant bioethics, the idea of bioethics is. Because I could have started the conversation on this illustration by saying, what is it that particularly is troubling to you in this case? And then we'll go down, teasing out the facts of the case, looking at who the various stakeholders are, what their interest is in the case, and then trying to figure out what it is that is an item of action that you will suggest, so that things like this will not continue to happen. Okay, so I invite you then to join us. By the way, by way of advertisement, we're going to explore the idea of trust and trustworthiness. Trust and trustworthiness in a very deep and interactive way. And use a program that is actually going on already on campus here, Alabama Genomic Health Initiative, as an illustration of what the barriers to genomic and genetic research might be. That's the first in the series of the discussion on trust and trustworthiness we are holding. So if you can join us, please do. Dr. Remy is giving me.
I'm not giving you any eyes. They're used to me walking the door before they leave.
So we need to be. I have had a wonderful time talking with you. I'll be available over there for further discussion. Question, comments?
Thank you.
You're very useful.
I hope our paths may cross again, but if it doesn't, I pronounce blessing on you. God bless you all.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, it's been a while. Good. How are you?
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, I hear they're very
Maybe
minded.
it's
Very
still.
hot, yeah, Andrea.
Yeah, there it is.
Milwaukee right now.
Oh, really?
The last one.
Your presentation is on the computer
Up there, okay.
hours.
All right. Okay.
Baseball,
Yeah,
because Bryce
all right.
plays baseball. And my older one, and now Grace, my little one, plays baseball as well.
Take care.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, I know that very well.
Yeah.
Or something. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son James and Jay play together on the same team.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah, they're a great family.
Yeah.
I think Matt's gonna coach the AAA baseball team for
Oh, cool.
postseason. So,
Oh, fun.
um,
I know that typically they're Tampa, right? Or
oh, they were